Good afternoon, students. For today's second session of SAP, we have Nagraj sir with us, and we will soon start the class. We are waiting for 5 minutes so that more attendees can join. And Nagraj sir will start the class by 2:05. Thank you, students. Stay tuned till 2:05.
Yeah, Kunal, thank you so much. We'll wait for the attendees to join and we'll start. Okay.
Sure, sir.
I see 126 as the attendance. 1 or 2 more minutes and we will start. Okay. Let the others slowly join in. In another minute or two, we will join. Okay, let the other students join in. So we will take off from where we had stopped in the morning session. So we saw about the closing procedures, of course. See here, the issue is the system may not be complete for me to really show you the process of this closing cockpit, because all the other modules and the data must be complete in all the respects. Clear? Because I said this process is basically you need to schedule your activities. Okay. So chronologically, you should set the activities, one activity after the other, third activity after the second, so on and so forth. See, what are these processes? What are these chronological order of the processes? What exactly you followed in your regular closing? So from the finance department, what would you do? What are the normal closure activities? Your provision entries, your what should I say? Your asset depreciation. Yeah, these are all your closing entries. So one after the other. And then in SAP, you need to close the periods. You need to close the periods of operations. Yeah, that is the only difference what you see in your SAP. So in the morning, we saw the tolerance groups. We saw the concept of carrying forward the balance. We saw the process of down payment. Okay? I hope all these were clear conceptually, right? How the system gets ready to accept your financial transactions. So now if you observe the chronological settings, that means to say this, the sequential settings of the system, even before you think of starting transactions in your finance or in any other module. First and the foremost thing is you design. You in the sense I'm talking about the consultants. The organizational structure has to be designed. You need to figure out the company code. You need to design the chart of accounts. You need to design the account groups, the retained earnings account, the fiscal year variant, the posting period variant, the document types, document number ranges, tolerance groups. Today we saw the tolerance groups, correct? So these are all the initial settings which a consultant must perform even before he can think of readying the company code to accept the transactions. So there are 10 to 12 activities before which the end user or the consultant cannot expect to start any transaction. Clear? Okay. Any questions? I don't know. Clarify as the deadline completion. Not very sure. Setting a template. I didn't understand this question. What does setting a template mean in SAP? It is you're readying the system for accepting the transactions. So you created a company code called GM01. So that is your test company code on which you're going to. Yeah. So AP payment block. See, what you can do is, let me take you into the SAP system. Now, let me extract a payment run. Since it's an end user part, I'm explaining I'm taking you through the navigation. What was it which I selected? I selected something. Have been posted. Let me pick this. Not a problem. Now, can you see if I take the proposal? Now this proposal is successful. I can block because this process is successful. Just a second. Let me see if I can. Just hold on. Since this has already got executed, let me pick up another payment run, which has not successful. Now I can block this proposal. So I can edit the proposal. See, it says select an accounting clerk. No values found. Just hold on.
Sir.
Yeah, Kunal.
The student who has asked for the deadline, something question like that, na?
Yeah,
I've already replied him, and the students who have a similar query, you can check my reply and do the needful.
Sure, Kunal. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Now select the open item. Select the vendor. I have double click. Just hold on. Just hold on. See, can you see the block? Now suppose I want this vendor himself to be blocked because I'm not happy with the quality. OK, so I reject all the items, but I've already made a payment for my purchases. So what should I do? I should block this vendor at the master level itself. So what do I do? Go to edit, FK02. Some, I don't know the company code, 01, I guess, whatever. Payment transaction, enter. Has not been created. OK, I'll create my vendor. What was the vendor? Fi. So I'll pick him up 6350 something. So suppose I want to block this vendor at the master level itself. Can you see the payment block? Can you see the payment block? So by default, the SAP system behaves in such a way that all the vendors and all the payments are not blocked. all the payments are free for payment. Can you see this free for payment? So none of the payments are actually blocked. But if you want to do it explicitly, you can do so. You can block. And suppose you want to assign an other payment term. You can assign the payment term. You can change the payment term. Here it's clear. Was this a question? Did I answer your question? I hope I have answered. Okay, you have answered this question also. What is the difference between transaction date and translation date? Thank you, Kunal. I hope the queries have been answered and the answers have been understood. Clear? Whatever was the questions. No other questions, I guess. All right. Now, interesting thing. Now, suppose I am entering this vendor invoice, or rather, I enter into this transaction. But when I see the vendor details or when I see the vendor out here, I actually wanted to enter a journal voucher, simple journal voucher, but I came to the wrong screen. So how do I go to that journal entry screen from this screen itself? You see, I'm in the vendor screen, vendor in a vendor purchase or one vendor purchase invoice. The transaction code is FB60. Now I want to enter into FB50. How can I do it from here itself, or should I exit out of the screen and come in again? Not really required. I'm assuming that I am a frequent user of the system and I am accustomed to the transaction codes. Please do not get perturbed if you are not in a position to remember the transaction code. Do not worry. This invariably happens. It will take time for you to get this transaction code surely out of practice. Now SAP has provided you see the command box. So what I do, I close the screen by giving a /n and entering the transaction code. So now I'm in transaction code FB60. Now I want to get into FB50 and enter. Now it will close the vendor invoice and open a journal voucher screen. So this is your /n /new NEW. So it closes the current transaction and opens a new transaction. If I simply give /n, it closes this and goes back to the easy access. Clear? Now, one more interesting thing. I go to accounts payable, go to master records, display, or I go to change it. This is your general data. First, see if you try to do the transactions for 6360, SAP will not even accept it because the reconciliation account is not there. Anyway, let's not worry about it because I don't know who has created this. Can you see that there is something interesting? Check double invoice. If I check this box, what SAP does, it checks for the duplication of the invoice. On what parameters? So if somebody asks you, is there a methodology where by mistake or by some kind of a slippage, I enter the same invoice twice? Will the SAP system agree with this? Will the SAP system accept the same invoice twice? Just read the documentation. I will just press F1 out here. What happened? Is it no head? Just hold on, guys. See here, you can see that I can also route these payments to this particular vendor through another house bank also. Okay. Why is it taking so much of time? See. Now, on what characters in checking for the duplicate invoices, the system compares the following details by default. Compares to vendor, compares the currency, the company code, obviously, the gross amount, the reference document number, that the original invoice. If you give the same invoice, system immediately captures that, and the invoice document date. So I'm trying to enter yesterday's invoice. I have already entered yesterday also. I'm trying to enter the same invoice today. So on what characteristics will the SAP system block this particular entry? The system checks only for duplicating the material if you enter the reference number based upon the entering the invoice. Not a. You can just, this is how the SAP system also keeps track of the duplicate entries. So it will not allow till these things they do not match. If they match, system immediately blocks. Immediately blocks in the sense it throws up a message saying that this invoice has already been entered. Did you understand? So each portion you see, and one more interesting thing. I'm taking what? The vendor master data. So this screen, we have a fair idea. Now can you see the correspondence? You can also assign a dunning procedure to your vendor. Can you see the beauty? So in case the vendor needs to make a payment, you can also remind him. You can also involve him in your dunning procedure. But normally dunning procedure is for whom? Dunning procedure is for customers. But in other cases, you can also extend this dunning procedure to your vendor or your vendors also. You can also do something interesting. Yeah. And you can also block the dunning procedure. If at all you do not want to dun a particular customer, you can also block. Clear? Was this interesting? See what and all SAP has for you to think about in normal business scenarios. And that's why I said telling an yes or no when a question is asked in SAP, especially by another person. So if somebody asks you, can the invoice be, can I enter the same invoice twice in SAP? Will it allow? So suppose you didn't know the answer, or as a matter of fact, any query, any question, it is always advisable that you check your knowledge on that particular issue and then go about answering that question. See, it is an acceptable fact in the field of SAP, especially when you're dealing with the international clients. They are very, in the sense they agree the fact that, okay, SAP, the whole of SAP cannot be understood, right? So you can always buy time in answering questions. Okay, don't jump into answers saying that SAP cannot do it. Especially, I always focus on the no, because answering yes and finding out a solution makes more sense than saying no and somebody else getting the solution for you. Suppose somebody asks you a question and you say no, SAP cannot do it. But if the person comes back with a solution, how would you feel? So that is exactly the reason as to why when you answer a no, it is very careful. You should have your knowledge too very good. Okay, and you should be such a good learner, such an expert in the system, saying that yes, it cannot be done for sure. All right. So today we saw about some interesting aspects. What else did we see? Tax also we saw. We saw how the system is automatically capturing the tax percentages. Clear? So, okay, let me now go back to the slides. Read them through. Anyway, conceptually, I think you're practically how it is being used, you know. Let us read some. This is your GRIR reconciliation. So we already know what is GRIR reconciliation. Read them through. Okay. Since you already know what is at least you know what is GRIR reconciliation, right? And you understand under what circumstances you have to reconcile. Correct? I don't think it needs an elaborate explanation. All for your self-learning. See, profit and loss accounts are carried forward to retained earnings account. So we read them, or rather we understood this concept today morning, right? And we also saw how the system is set up practically. So you know the balance carry forward. Okay. Read them through. Probably you'll come across some very interesting points. See, this balance calculate interest is actually a different functionality altogether, right? Just like you have discounts, you also have interest calculation. Suppose you have exceeded the, or rather the customer has exceeded the due date. In that case, you saw that dunning letter, right? We are going to, you're going to pay interest on the balance also, right? So how this is being done? See, balance interest calculation. All right. So this concept is called as interest calculation, and it's a different methodology. You need to do a lot of settings. As far as a consultant is concerned, he needs to configure the system for this also. Clear? The balance interest calculation program is controlled using the following specification. Read them. OK. So how did the discount method come up from? The discount date was taken up from the document date. Similarly, you'll have to set up information for the interest calculation program also. From what date after it has expired after it has crossed the expiry date for the payment, right? We also saw this in our in our dunning itself, where we set up the grace periods. You remember? We did see that, right? So all these things are taken care of in your lesson summary, closing operations. So what is our next topic? I think we have done all this. So it is just a. I'll just show you this, and there is also an audio playing. So this will. So I have muted the audio. Now you can see this I have taken straight from your. This we have all seen, huh? Document date, posting date, same thing. Clear? You saw the process of parking, you saw the process of posting. Yeah. If you're interested, you can go back to the demo. All right. So we are at two. We have seen the accounts payable, accounts receivable, bank accounting, correct? Closing operations. We are yet to see the asset account. Yeah. Bank accounting, house banks we saw. And the reports we saw the dunning, we saw the balance confirmations, we saw the financial statement version, we saw the trial balance. Clear? I think very generic. You can read through the slides, should not be a problem. So if you want to, as I said, you can check your knowledge. Which of the following is an SAP solution? Did we read this somewhere? Concur. Okay, so just read it through. You'll be able to find out which of the following variable profit centers. Clear? This we will take up when we discuss the management account. After we finish the asset accounting, we will take this. Okay. So we are about to touch a very interesting segment. Reporting also comes in your management accounting. All right. Oh, let's come back to 267. My God. What was the topic? Unit will introduce the key concepts and structures in management accounting. Okay, I think we are in management accounting. Now, even before this, let me finish. So slide number is 635. Okay, I'll just make a note of it. Okay, I have manually made note of the slide number. Now, where is asset accounting? Okay. Master data and asset accounting, create master record. So we have learned the key concepts. So what is asset class? We read through the life cycle of an asset. So we are here. Assets module. Life cycle of an asset. And as we said, we are going to look at the fixed assets. All right. Now, So we saw the life cycle of an asset. It had so many steps. So we understood what an asset master data was. How did the asset master data start? It all started with the creation of an asset class. Are you familiar with an asset class? Yes. What we called account groups in our chart of accounts, vendor, customers, they are called as asset classes in SAP. Just to differentiate what is the nature of the assets. Yeah. Now, students, I'll give you 2 minutes time for you to just. Do I see any new questions? Just hold on. Let me pick up a few questions if there are any. How to see or track noted item? One moment. How do you track? Okay. How do you track a noted item? I hope you are aware of a noted item, everybody. Noted item is a item. It is just as an information. And it doesn't have any impact on your financials. Now, just hold on. How to see or track a noted item? Good question. I'll come back to asset accounting a little later. I'll finish this question. Now, if you saw the down payment. Just go to this transaction. I think I need to relog it. Just hold on. So I was trying to answer the question, how do you track a noted item? So noted item also, unfortunately, there is an error. I'm going to show it to you tomorrow. OK, just give me some time to rectify that error, but I'll tell you the process. Can you see the requests? So whenever you create a request, you can link. If at all I had created a request, it will take me. OK, I'll finish all this. OK, since I have finished. It will ask me for the request number. Where is this? Oh, so many. See, no suitable down payment request exists because I have not created a request. But whenever I'm creating the actual money flow inside or outside, I'm paying in advance, I'm receiving in advance. I can connect the request in this form. I hope I have answered your question. This would have been more. It would have been better if I could create a request and then show it to you, which I'll do it tomorrow. Okay, just give me some time to rectify that system. Here it says no suitable down payment requests because I have not created a request. Clear? I hope you got a fair idea about what is this, how I'm connecting the actual down payment, actual advances received or made to the request. So this is how I keep track. I connect the down payment with the request. Is this understood? How many line items? You can enter 999 line items. Is everybody understanding what this person is asking? He's asking how many, of course, he knows the system. I know it very well. All right. But since for everybody's sake, how many line items, how many debits or credits you can have? You can have 999 items. Yeah. So can we come back to our, I'll mark this question. I'll just mark this question. Okay, just give me a moment. I'll mark this question. So tomorrow, once I rectify the system, I'll show you how this particular down payment is tracked. Okay, now coming back to our assets. So I also said specific life cycle, and here we are going to talk only and only about fixed assets. We are not concerned about the current assets, because current assets, you already know that they are taking place in your GL account itself, your cash account, inventory account, yeah, bank account, whatever. So the first and the foremost, just like you started your finance activities with your chart of accounts as the first master data, and your AR and AP activities with the creation of the individual master records, your customer and vendor. Clear? We also see that the asset master at the asset accounting in SAP, the first and the foremost step is creation of the individual master records. Yeah. So what is building up of the master records? Even before you start an activity with the asset, you need to procure it. You need to bring it into your organization. To bring it into your organization, what would you do? You first create that entity in your SAP system as a master data. Then you carry out the functionality of purchasing that item. Now, as a standard SAP, you have the standard asset classes within the standard SAP system. Land and building, plant and machinery, furnitures, vehicles, AUC, LBA. Yeah. So these are all the asset classes which have already been provided by the standard SAP system. Yeah. And once you create this asset class, you procure the asset. Clear? Now, here again, how do you connect the asset accounting submodule to your finance? Through your reconciliation. Your customer and vendor, we have already seen the reconciliation account. Clear? The same aspect is in respect of your asset accounting also. Yeah, you construct or you create as a consultant, you create a set of general ledger accounts specific to your asset accounting. It could be for your depreciation. It could be for your acquisition. It could be for depreciation. It could be your profit or loss on sale of an asset. It could be for scrapping. It could be for retirement, whatever. So you should ensure that your chart of accounts is complete with the definition of the general ledger accounts pertaining to the area of asset account. Okay. Actually, this is a very robust module, but the point here is it's a little, I don't know if I can call it a little complex. But if you understand the subject conceptually, this is how it should be actually. And how see, SAP has not manufactured different methodology of tackling asset accounting. No, it is just what happens in your business. That's why I have repeated umpteen number of times saying that please think of any requirement from the normal business angle. That will resolve most of your queries. That will resolve most of your doubts. And connect what SAP can do to your practical requirement. That is all. As a consultant, this is your major job. Clear? So understanding SAP is something which is very, very critical and very, very important. And as I've always said, since you're going to be professionally qualified, you're going to be CMAs. So normally the expectations would be pretty high. Okay. And yeah, coming back to the concepts of the asset account. So just like your finance activity started with the creation of a set of general ledger accounts, chart of accounts, here again you start your asset accounting activities with something called as a chart of depreciation. Okay. And in our live projects also, we do not create our own chart of depreciation. We need to definitely copy from the standards. What are the standard chart of depreciation provided by SAP? It is identified by 0D or 1D. At least one of them will be existing in your standard SAP systems. Just like you saw INT as your operational chart of accounts, this also you will see existing in your standard SAP systems. Yeah. And just like we created GM00 as our operational chart of accounts and assigned it to our company code GM01. Here again, you create a chart of depreciation, copying from taking the help of your 0D or 1D. Clear? And you assign this chart of depreciation to your company. Just like you assigned your chart of accounts to your company code. Here again, we see the chart of depreciation getting assigned to the company. Now, at one of the other steps, you will see that the chart of depreciation has a connection to your chart of accounts. I will show you where and when. Okay, when the subject comes up, when I show this to you on the system, you will definitely see that your chart of depreciation has a link to your chart of accounts. And it is from your chart of accounts that the information is flown, and what we call as the account determination. So your account determination terminology is a very, very general one. It is not only specific to your asset accounts. It is also applicable to any of the integration concepts. Your finance and project systems, your finance and material management, your finance and sales, finance and HR, whatever. Okay. So your asset master and your chart of depreciation. Now, once when you have done this, you start your activities on purchasing an asset. So whenever you want to start using an asset, you must bring it into your organization, right? So how will you bring it into your organization? By means of purchasing the asset. Correct? You purchase the asset. Now, what happens? That is a different process. I will take you into it. So asset acquisition or the purchase. So what is the second step in your asset life cycle? It is your depreciation. So depreciation as such has actually a broader concept when you talk about from the business perspective, and as well how SAP has provided you with this particular perspective. How do you meet this business perspective in SAP? Clear? How was this achieved? I told you the different phases of depreciation. Okay, why in how does one see depreciation? So from the income tax perspective, from the costing perspective, from the normal accounting perspective as a legal requirement. So you can see the depreciation being viewed in different ways. So how was this taken care of in SAP? This is taken care of in SAP through something called as depreciation areas. How does the organization, what is the information and at what level is my organization requiring to take this information? So based on the reasons from your implementing partner, the SAP consultant, the SAP finance consultant activates or deactivates certain depreciation areas. You will see some different concepts. Okay, so but try to understand why this is actually given in the SAP system and what is the usual name. As you can see, the purpose is the same. What the normal business is without SAP, you are bringing this requirement in SAP. That is the only thing. That's clear. Was this understood? So depreciation area is also one of the concepts which could be new to you, at least from the terminology aspect or from the terminology perspective. This could be a new thing for you. Yeah. So more about cost centers and cost elements we are going to see in our management accounting module when I take it up, maybe say tomorrow or something, right? So we will have a deeper insight into it. The other important thing is our depreciation keys. Kunal, can we break for tea?
Yes, sir. We can take a break for 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, according to our requirement.
Sure. So students will be back between 3:10 and 3:15. Okay. Thank you. I'm available. You can post your questions. I'll be taking it up. Couple of more minutes and we'll rejoin. All right. Okay, students, we will start. I will start showing it to you on the SAP system. Okay, now. So we are looking at the SAP system, right? And we are getting into the asset account. So how does any person create the asset master data, asset master record, right? So accounting, I'm in the end user screen. And as I said, whatever requests is to create a master data should not be taken up immediately. It has to get processed. There is a specific methodology or there is a specific procedure for you to follow as far as the master data creation is concerned. Just because you have a ticket from the end user saying, asking you to create a master data, you do not go ahead and immediately create. No. You will have to, as a consultant, as a support consultant, or as a implementing consultant, or as a super user or power user, you need to wait for the approval from the specific team. Okay, until and unless you will not create the master data for anything. Now, as far as the asset master data is concerned, financial accounting, fixed assets, asset, create. Now I go to the asset. So immediately it's asking me for the asset class. What is an asset class? It's a grouping of the assets. AUC, low value, leased, financial assets, technical assets. However, you want to classify your master data. Clear? Now, so as I said, we already have standard predefined asset classes created by SAP. You can make use of them or you can create your own asset class. SAP will not stop you from creating your own asset class. Suppose you want to classify. Now, why do you have to create an asset class? Suppose let us assume a scenario where you need to create you have vehicles and you have material movement vehicles and also for transport. So the management wants some information based on these two categories. So what would you do as a consultant? You would understand this requirement and you would design two different asset classes, one for your normal, one for your movement of your employees and one for your materials. Okay, so you may have two different classes for vehicles only. It is up to you. So just go to this drop down and you can see. Let me say let me take up GM01 itself. So many asset classes, they are already available, and whatever you are seeing, they are the standard asset classes. See, as you can see, they are denoted by numbers again. 1000, 1100, 2000, 3000. So like this, you can have any kind of a grouping, but this is the standards. I'm not very sure about this 8000 objects of art, but all the other things they are system created. Oh, let me just check. Just hold on. Okay, somebody has included in the standards. That's okay. Not a problem. So you can create, right? So how does a SAP consultant create the asset class? I'll quit from here. So I go to the consultant screen. I open a new session. Financial accounting. This is your consultant screen. Okay, do not have to pay too much of Don't put in too much of efforts to remember how it is being done. What is being done, make a note of it, but how different. Clear? Asset accounting. You have the organizational structures, you have asset classes. Here the consultant comes and creates a new asset class. The numbers what you saw, 1,000, 1,100, 2,000, 3, whatever. All these are created here. Define asset classes. So as a consultant, I would go and create. There are actually many. Good. So I think I have created asset class GM BEH. Have I created? I don't know. Somebody has deleted, I guess. Just hold on. Okay, not a problem. So here, how these classes are created is in this place. Now, if you double click on any one of the asset classes, take up anything, vehicles, you can see that there are many data embedded within the asset class. The asset class contains a whole lot of information as regards the asset itself. Yeah. Now, what is this account determination? I said it is your first point of integration, or it is a this is the term used for integration between your finance module and the asset accounting module, or rather any other module. Okay, FIAP, FIMM, FISD, FIA, whatever. Clear? Screen layout. So based on each category of assets, how do you control the data entry screens? The number range. What is this number range? You remember I explained the concept of numbers and sub numbers, sub asset numbers, main asset number, sub asset number. Hold on, don't worry. So where do you see all this? The account determination and all other things. Here again, can you see the specify account determination? This is what you saw getting assigned to your 3000 vehicles asset class 3100, whatever. All right. Screen layout. This 3000 is exactly what 3100 is exactly what you saw. Clear? Now, basically, we do not go about creating our own screen layouts. All right, we pick it up from the standards. In most of the projects which I did, I remember we had used only the standard screen layout because we do not have any business to change the standard screens of SAP. Because when the whole SAP world is happy, or when the whole consumers of SAP they are happy, I don't see any requirement for us to actually change. Clear? Now, this is where you define the number. You remember we visited a place called a document number ranges. Document types, document number ranges, same thing. And why is the document number used? To number the assets. That's it. And you saw 03 being assigned. to our vehicles. GM01. Can you see the 03? So this is exactly how we complete the setup for your asset account. Again, that is the asset class. Asset accounting, we have many more things to talk. Clear? Now, specify chart of depreciation. Here, where do you see the chart of depreciation? Can you see this? Copy reference chart of depreciation. Click. Can you see this? 0D standard getting assigned to standard. Now let me see the story of GM01. GM0. So whatever I have done is what I have done is I have copied from 0D and I have assigned it to my company code GM0. I have copied, I have copied like this. Copy reference chart of depreciation. Yeah, now you can see. So from chart of depreciation, I have taken the help of 0D or 1D, whatever was available. 0D is available. See, oh, it is a standard 0D. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to exit. And copy, delete, check depreciation areas. Just see what is happening here. As I said, what is a charter? What is a okay, I will take up as GM01 itself. Now I see the areas, depreciation areas. Can you see this? Depreciation areas. Can you see 1, 2, 3, 15, 20, 30, 31? Scroll down. You can see 41, 51. You can also see 60, 61 also. Special depreciation. Now, what exactly is this? I pressed F1. Just see. Depreciation area. Valuation of a fixed asset for a particular purpose. For example, balance sheet, tax purposes, management accounting purposes. So this actually defines as to how exactly the management wants to take that depreciation information. Yeah. You can delete. If I do not want special tax depreciation, I take up these two. I want a tax balance sheet. I can delete. So 2 and 3 I don't want. 30 and 31 also I don't want. But I want. I'll delete. See, I do not want 32 also. 41, 51 also I don't want. I'll delete. See, I can select. I can modify or I can construct the system in the way however I want based on the decision taken by the management of my implementing part. Now I can also control this depreciation areas by simply not asking the system instead of deleting. I can as well subdue the system itself by from posting into the financial books. How? GL account. Can you see this? Go to the drop down. Can you see? If I select if I select 0, it says area does not post. Can you see this tax balance sheet 0? Does not. I can change it to 1. I can change it to whatever. but I'm just showing you what exactly the system is showing. What is this 3? Area post depreciation only. Clear? So like this, I can actually have all the areas, but I can say area does not post. See tax balance sheet, I can make it 1, I can make it 2, whatever. For whatever purpose I want, I can ask the system to deliver. Anyway, I'm not going to save this information. I'm going to exit out without saving. So anytime you want to do some changes and come out, it asks whether you want to save. I will say no. So did you understand how I customize my asset accounting requirements? Yeah. So this is all the job of a consultant. You don't have to worry. The consultant simply understands the requirement, picks up, and then creates the system suitable to the business. Was this clear? Perfect. Now, and I assign the chart of depreciation. And you saw this, right? GM01 getting assigned to GM01. So GM01 is my company code. And I've also created a chart of depreciation by the same name. And you saw where I had created copy chart of depreciation. Now, integration with the general ledger accounting. Anything else which I wanted to explain? So we understood about we now have a small idea about what is an asset class, what is a chart of depreciation, how do I actually construct the system as to however I want. Okay, what is a chart of depreciation? How do I create it? How do I assign? How do I retain the depreciation areas or remove the depreciation areas? What is not required for me? Clear? Now, next thing, once you create. So we also saw how the SAP system asks you for the asset class. Clear? So you enter the asset class, you enter the company code and number of similar assets. What do I mean? What do I mean by this? So now suppose I want to buy 5 cars for my top level management, or I'm buying 100 chairs for my computer department. So do I have to enter the screen in 100 times for me to enter 100 chairs? I can simply say in GM01, in the asset class furniture and fixtures, I am procuring 100 chairs. So this is the reason why this is available for you. So n number of assets I can procure in one shot. So I suppose say I procure some furniture and fixtures. Where is that? Fixtures and fittings. All right, enter. See, computer chairs. So like this, I can actually, how many am I buying? I am buying 100 computer chairs. So like this, whenever I am constructing my asset master data, this is my first step. I give all these details. I also give the time dependent. I ensure that the cost center is always a required field. What is a cost center? I said nothing but a owner department, the department which owns up the maintenance of these assets. The assets are the responsibility of this particular department. Now your cost center is, let us say, computers. Some cost center. I'm just assuming that I'm buying this for computers, computer department. So like this, I customize. I'll select a I'll pick up, let us say, for I buy for a non-executive canteen. Okay. Now the most important thing is your depreciation areas. Now see, I can see 0, 1, 15, 20. Okay, what is this? They're all the depreciation keys. We'll discuss this a little later. Now the useful life of an asset. 10 years, I can change it to 5, 7, whatever. But am I expected, or let us say legally, okay, the vehicles, or rather the laptops or your computers, they have an existence of 3 years. So 33.33% is your rate of depreciation. So you can follow whatever is legally is the depreciation percentage. And for that, you create a depreciation key. After this, I will tell you what is a depreciation key. Okay, I will take you into the depreciation key. Now, what is this period? This is also useful life. This is also useful life in periods. What do I mean? Now, suppose the existence of this particular chair is 10.5 years. How do I mention that fraction? I can't say 10.5 here. I cannot say. It is not even allowing me. See? It is shouting. So here, what I do is I enter the next half year by means of 6. So 10 years and 6 months. So I'm telling the SAP system that these assets, I'm buying 100 shares. So these assets, they are going to have a value. They are going to survive for 10.5 years. Based on what logic? Don't ask me. I'm following the legal books. The company law has asked me to depreciate fixtures and furnitures. The expected life is 10.5 years. I'm depreciating. I'm maintaining the same standards. That's. Did you understand how a consultant creates this, or how the super user or the end user or the power user creates this records? And after which I say. So in this case, what happens? 100 assets, they are being created along with the numbers, but with a slash. 3000-0, 3000-1, 3000-2, because I'm buying 100. I'm buying 100 shares. Is that clear? So this is how the system generates the numbers. Okay, I can say, or I'll simply exit out. I don't want to complicate the issue. I'll just take up any questions if there are any. How do we remember these tables? It is simply out of practice. See, don't put in efforts to remember this transaction. That's why I always say the longer method is the best method for you to learn SAP. The shortcuts. See, if a person has a good memory, he can afford to remember. But the main question is at this juncture, which is quite sensitive for you, you're still learning the subject. Yeah, so that's why I advise, please do not even think that there is a concept called T coordinate. Always use the longer method. Open each and every screen. Open each and every tab. Open each and every option. That is actually teaches you a lot of SAP. That actually is a very good lesson. Okay. So do not bother about if I'm not able to remember a transaction code. I'm getting into a tragedy. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay. So just don't try to type AS01 out there in the command box. Open the menu. You will learn a lot of things, believe me. Clip now. So once I have created an asset, how does it look? So I have created an asset. Let me assume that I have saved the previous screen. How does my asset look? Where do I go and see? So you saw the balance of a general ledger account, a vendor, a customer, a GL account, document. So how do you see an asset which has been created? Asset display AW01N, which is your asset explorer. Double click. I remember having created an asset some ages ago. See, Audi car. I had created an Audi car, I think way back in 2022, I guess, 21 or so. I don't remember. Can you see? You want to see the whole history of it? Most welcome. So I had procured the asset as of 1st of April 2022. I had bought an Audi car from Measures Next Limited. I had booked this under the vehicles, 65 lakhs external asset acquisition. Okay, and I sold in the same year on the 10th of December. So till then, the accumulated depreciation was 13 lakhs. All right. How do I get all these values? 433.3333. Go to this posted values. Each year, each month, can you see? Why is it period month? Because I had procured the asset on the first day of my financial year, 1st of April 2022. Here. So let me just put in some calculation. I hope I will be April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Did you get this value? Did you see this value? 10833 somewhere. Accumulated depreciation. Was this 9? Okay. Just a minute. Okay, one. Now April has been posted, right? April has been posted. So I need to reduce this. Did you get this value? April has already been considered. So I had 7 more months of posting even before I carried out the retirement process. Yeah. Now, what is the value of the asset? Did you get that information also? Now, 65 lakhs. Just a moment. Okay, 52 lakhs after my depreciation. Sorry, just hold on. 58. At what amount did I sell? I sold this at 58,000. So 56 lakhs was supposed to be my value of the asset. All right, I sold it at 58 lakhs. So did you get this value? This is the profit. So the ordinary depreciation, which was supposed to have been done as of the last day of the asset, based on the various calculations. So you know how I got this 866, right? So each month it was 108. So into 8 months, because April has already got depreciated. Yeah. So my value after subtracting this was 56 lakhs 33,333.36 paise. But I have sold the asset for 58 lakhs. See, retirement revenue was 58 lakhs. You can see the document, no problem. Let me see if I can take you into the document. Check. Can you see the posting key 75, 70? This is how the once you set up the system, this is what exactly happens automatically. You have no job to interfere in this at all. The process is set. How do I know this? What is this? These are all the general ledger accounts. These are all the general ledger accounts. So where do I see this general ledger accounts? 13,000, 13,010, 8,25,000. Where do I see all these general ledger accounts? I will show. So where does the actual process take place? Integration with the general ledger accounting. Assign general ledger accounts. Click. Now can you see the GM00 operational chart of accounts is linked to the chart of depreciation GM01. This is exactly what I said. When I said I'm going to show you a place where the chart of accounts is talking to the chart of depreciation, this is the place. Okay. Now go to the balance sheet accounts, expand this, or go to the account determination. I think 31,000 was the vehicles. Can you see this 13,000 acquisition value? Do you see the entry? Where was the entry? Just hold on. You can take up anything. Did you see this 13,000? What is the 13,000? From where is it flowing? It is flowing from here. Vehicle capitalization. Can you see? Balance sheet APC. Can you see that 8,25,000? 8,25,000 also you are able to see. Now I'll show you 13,010. That is your depreciation. Now can you see 13,010? So this is how, this is the bread butter screen as far as your finance consultant is concerned, and as far as the asset accounting is concerned. Yeah. Did you understand the flow of things? Now, where is the depreciation? Where are the other things carried? Other activities in asset accounting, where are they taking place? You saw the asset master data. Now, where do I create the depreciation? Where do I carry the depreciation? Periodic processing, depreciation run, AFAB. Something very similar to your APP. This also is a huge program which consumes a lot of time. Okay. Let me show you the, see, these are all the details. I need to enter each and every information and go about carrying the depreciation run. This actually is a scheduled program because I may be having hundreds and hundreds of assets. Just imagine Reliance. How many assets do you think it will have? Plenty. So the system is automated so very beautifully that it automatically takes care of the depreciation through a program. Let me see if I can see. RAPOS 2000 is the program. RAPOST 2000 is the program which actually carries forward this depreciation. Interesting, complex. Clear, students? I'll pause here. The 5 minutes of the session is just your time. Think about, because I don't want to continue anything new. I have depreciation keys to be explained. All right. Very interesting thing. Very, very interesting. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, please post it. Is asset accounting boring? Asset accounting interesting? Actually, when you're setting up the system, it is so very challenging, because you should check all the entries if they are flowing in correctly, and if you have set up the account numbers properly and at the right place. So for vehicles, you saw 13,000. For maybe say fixtures and furnitures, it's a different thing. Yeah. So each thing is a setup is really interesting, provided. But once you set the system, it runs pretty smooth. But you should ensure that all the things are happening correctly. And you saw the place where and that is your account determination. The screen, what you saw here, is your account determination. This is your account determination. A090 is your transaction code, A090. This is the bread butter screen for your FI consultants as far as asset accounting is concerned. So what is account determination? Simply connecting your finance module to any other concept where you assign the general ledger accounts with some logic. See, first thing is you need to have created the general ledger accounts using the specific logic. Okay. So if you say 13,010 is a accumulated depreciation for your vehicles, it cannot be the same account for your plant and machinery. You cannot have the same GL account number for your furniture and fixtures. Clear? So you must follow a logic in actually designing your asset accounting system. Yeah, as well as from the initiation, from the starting point, as you creating the operational COA, logic becomes very, very important. See here, if you saw your balance sheet account was 13000. If you had observed, I just showed you. I need to read it. Okay, students, I'll show this to you tomorrow so that it can be a valuable repetition. I will not relog in again because we just have a minute more. So any questions? How did you feel the subject was? See, I could have really done I could have shown you more and more things, but not required at this moment. I don't want you to get confused. But are you able to put things in their place? Are you able to identify what exactly is required by the asset accounting? If you have known that, more than enough. Okay, students, shall we call it a day? Can we wind up, Kunal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See you, students. See you tomorrow morning.